Mark?
Today we're making the miso lime glazed sea bass with the new Corre Iconic. This air fryer is by far the prettiest air fryer I've ever seen. So we're gonna start out with 2 pieces of beautiful Chilean sea bass. And one of the things I love about this cut is it can take a lot of flavor. So you wanna bring it out of the fridge about 15 minutes before you're gonna use it and season it generously on both sides with salt. Set that aside for 15 minutes. That allows the salt to penetrate. Next, we're gonna make the miso glaze. So we've got a couple tablespoons of white miso, low sodium soy sauce, mirin, and what you're looking for here is a balance of flavors. So you can see we have the sweet, the salty, the savory. We're gonna add some lime. Brown sugar, this is light brown sugar. And we are gonna add some grated ginger. A little trick I like to do with grating ginger is you're gonna trim it up to get to the size you want. Now you're gonna take a spoon, and the easiest way to get the skin off the ginger is to take a spoon and scrape it off. That way you don't lose all of the ginger. Microplane it straight in, and if you don't have one of these, this is by far one of the handiest kitchen tools I own. Whisk that until the miso is all the way incorporated and smooth. It might take a couple minutes. We're gonna add in the coconut milk. So this is a 1/4 of a can. And I used whole fat coconut milk. You really want that creaminess. Again, give it a good whisk. We are gonna prep our green onion, spring onion, scallion, a lot of different names. And I'm gonna give this a fine slice on the diagonal. So we're gonna go in with the whites and the greens. And then the green part. You wanna go as fine as you can. Straight into the sauce. The final ingredient to go into this sauce is lime juice. Okay, roll out the lime. Again, this is how you're gonna get the most amount of juice. And then taking a microplane grater, we're gonna take all that zest. When you do this, you wanna make sure you get as very little white as possible. The white is bitter. That zest just goes right in. We're gonna take the juice of the entire lime. So really get it all in. It might seem like a lot, but it's not. That miso is very savory, and then you also have to balance out the sweet. Give that a whisk. Once that's completely smooth, we are gonna put that on the stovetop. This went for 3 or 4 minutes. It's now completely smooth. There's no lumps of coconut milk. We're gonna reserve half of that for later, so just have a little bowl ready. The sauce is ready to use. You are gonna wanna take a paper towel and get your sea bass very dry. If you don't dry off your sea bass, the sauce won't stick to it. So it's kind of like a glaze. And you're gonna brush a thick amount over the top of each of these fillets. And again, you're gonna try to get as much on as possible. You want a nice thick layer. You have a nice layer on the fish, and we are just gonna take a spoon and get some of those spring onions on top, those green onions. That is done. I love it because so many of these miso recipes, you have to marinate for 24 hours, sometimes 48. This is minutes. It's now time to preheat our iconic. Again, this is so easy to do. You have the control panel right at the top, 375. We're gonna preheat for 4 minutes. I also love the fact that I can barely hear it. That's nice. The iconic is preheated. It is now ready to use. One of the great things about this is that the inside is all nonstick ceramic, but it doesn't have any PFAS or Teflon or anything that would, we're all trying to avoid these days. If you had a cooking spray, you would use that. I don't, so I'm gonna paint on some avocado oil directly onto the baking tray in here. You're using so little oil. If I was pan frying this fish, I would be using 6 times the amount. You can see we just have a nice layer in there. We have 2 gorgeous portions here. They're gonna go directly on to the air fryer basket. This is already preheated, so we're gonna turn it on again. The first cooking time is 375 for 4 minutes. That is now ready. And you can see there's that first bit of color on there. Not too much, just a little bit. We are now gonna glaze it a second time. That glaze is gonna go right on top. And I'm actually gonna dot it. I'm gonna do like a dotting bit rather than painting it on. That way you can get the most amount of glaze stay on the fish. And that's gonna go back in. We're gonna increase the temperature to 450, and that's gonna go for another 4 minutes. That's gonna give that high heat. It's gonna give that beautiful crust on top that you can only get, it's almost like a broil. This recipe actually came out of the cookbook they gave you. It's 24 recipes. The miso glazed sea bass, and I did do quite a little tweak. We know I can't follow a recipe. So what I did is I glazed it before cooking it and then glazed it just at that interval. In the recipe, they have it glazing just at the interval. But I liked having a little extra flavor into that sea bass. While that cooks, we are going to julienne some of the spring onions. If you've never julienne before, you are gonna take your spring onion and finely slice it lengthwise, and then turn those on their side and then finely slice them again. This is kind of a fancy way to do it. Sometimes it's fun to be a little fancy. What you're left with are these little matchsticks like this. This is what a julienne is. I like doing a dish that's gonna contrast against the sea bass. You guys know I like my pretty dishes. So we're gonna take some of that reserved sauce and just lay it down. It's gonna sit underneath the sea bass. Oh, that looks stunning. Look at that color. And you can see what a golden, kind of crispy top that has. I'm gonna plate this up gently. And again, this is hot, so be careful. We now have the julienne spring onions. We're just gonna put all over the top. That looks gorgeous. It smells amazing. I wish you could smell this. I'm so impressed with how this came out. I can say not all air fryers are made equal. This is definitely a high quality air fryer turning out high quality dishes like this. The sear on top makes the dish. Thanks for watching today. I'm Corey Larkin from Coco Larkin Cooks. I'm beyond impressed with how this turned out, and the Kasuri Iconic is a must for every home cook.